fellow adventurers. Well, I'm back in England again for the holidays, and I'm here with my mum.
Hello again, everyone.
Alright, Mum, so you remember the last few times I was here, we reviewed Darkseid 1 and 2?
I certainly do.
Oh, you remember that?
I do.
Alright, great. And so how did you enjoy doing those reviews?
I really enjoyed it.
Okay, but I think you walked out on the last one. Okay, great. Well, you'll be happy to know, this time we're looking at Darkseid 2. What do you think of that?
That is horrible. It's a horrible face.
Huh?
I'm going to go and make some tea.
What? You don't want to talk about this game with me?
No.
Well, anyway, I thought this time it would be appropriate to take a look at another Cyberdreams game. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. What do you think of that?
That looks really interesting.
Really? You can tell just by looking at it?
Yes, I can. I can tell by the photo.
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, or InMames for short, was developed by Cyberdreams and the Dreamers Guild and released in 1995. InMames is based on the short story by Harlan Ellison, whose face can be seen on the cover of the game's official strategy guide. But why is he inside what looks like a microchip? Is he half man, half machine? Well, the story is set in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity has been almost entirely obliterated except for 5 survivors, who have suffered the last 109 years at the mercy of a crazy supercomputer called AM.
AM. AM. Not just Allied Master Computer, but AM. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
Harlan Ellison himself is the voice of AM.
Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live. For you, hate.
As you can probably tell, AM really hates humanity. And by hate, I mean loathe entirely.
Hate. Double hate.
Loathe entirely.
So, what does AM want with these 5 unfortunate souls imprisoned in a hell of his own making? Let's hear his hateful voice ring out once more.
I have a secret game that I'd really like to play. It's a very nice game. Oh, it's a lovely game. A game of fun and a game of adventure. A game of rats and lice and the Black Death. A game of speared eyeballs and dripping guts and the smell of rotting gardenias.
AM amuses himself by devising various games for his human captives to play, based on their flaws and insecurities. You can choose to play as any of the 5 characters in any order. This makes for a very non-linear gaming experience that is quite different from most other adventures, though the storyline kinda reminded me of AD 2044, where you play the only man in a world ruled by fembots.
That's where you do belong. Ouch! Bashing the hero with a shoe, huh?
Let's take a look at our first contestant.
Gorrister!
Gorrister finds himself on an iron zeppelin that seems to be deserted, the only other sign of life being some animals who look like they're part of some twisted experiment.
My God, I'm killing those poor creatures in the cages.
So who's flying the ship? Turns out it's being guided by Gorrister's own heart. Following your heart, quite literally, leads us to a honky-tonk diner in the middle of the desert, where a talking jackal tells us to go to the toilet and flush 3 times.
A meat locker? How'd I get?
Here's where the fembots come into play, as Gorrister finds robot versions of his wife Glynis and mother-in-law Edna hanging in a meat locker.
I ought to kill you right now, you bitch.
Don't be a fool, Gorrister! You need me alive if you want to make it out of here!
Should we take Edna down, cut out her heart, or shoot her with a gun? Well, firstly we should take the strategy guide's advice and use the save button liberally. In other words, save like any moment could be your last. Let's go back and try that again, shall we?
One heart looks like another. Edna, now you really are heartless.
Heartless, get it, Mom?
Yes, I really appreciate that sense of humour.
You do?
I certainly do.
I didn't think that was your sense of humor at all.
Yes, it is.
It is?
It is, and I'm eager to find out more.
Alright then. There are various ways to play out each scenario, but whenever you make a wrong move, the game is far from over.
No, Gorrister, I'm sending you back to the fire, so that you may languish in your guilt over and over again. This is a hell with no end, Gorrister.
And so we're sent back to the character selection screen to choose our fate once again. Harlan Ellison originally wanted the game to be unwinnable, but there is a way to defeat Am if you make all the right decisions. First time I played this though, I had no idea how your choices affect gameplay, and it was only later that I found out that each character has their own spiritual barometer, which is reflected in their portrait. Choosing the most ethical course of action raises your spirit and turns the background lighter green, while making bad decisions like acting like a murdering psychopath lowers your spirit and turns the background darker green. This mechanic isn't explained at all in the game, and I had to refer to the strategy guide for guidance. The other thing I learnt more about from the guide is the psych profile, which basically functions as an in-game hint system. For example, this reference to Shakespeare's Macbeth is a hint to perform the symbolic act of wiping your hands on the tablecloth.
I've washed my hands of the past.
These hints can be extremely cryptic, like in Benny's case.
Benny!
His psych profile makes several references to the Bible, such as the Tower of Babel, which indicates that you need to talk to this kid using the TV monitor as a translator. Benny's story revolves around his search for something to eat. The trick is that any food Benny eats hurts him.
Hurts! Hurts! Hurts!
He must find a solution to appease his hunger, or give in to his bestial desires and resort to cannibalism.
Amazing. This woman digested the food and then regurgitated it back to me, like a bird feeding its young.
Here, Mom, would you like one of these peaches to eat?
Yes, please.
Here you go.
Thank you. It's delicious.
Really? Alright. Well, I'm really hungry, but unfortunately I can't eat these peaches myself. So what I need you to do is I need you to regurgitate that peach back into my mouth for me.
That is disgusting.
But that's what mother birds do for their young.
But I'm not a bird. I'm a human.
Alright, well that's a good point. Apart from all the biblical references, there's also a mechanical cross where the primitive villagers sacrifice their own people to Am, who rules over them like the Wizard of Oz.
I am the great and powerful. You didn't bring me Toto, but I accept the chosen one.
There's an element of dark comedy in this game, and some things I can't take entirely seriously, like these talking gravestones.
What can I do to make amends to you, Brickman?
You have to bury the past, Commander.
The same as Gorrister, Benny must bury the past and make amends for his past misdeeds. The most intriguing aspects to this game are its psychological themes and symbolic imagery. It's reminiscent of Cyberdreams' previous Dark Seed games, and the Benny story in particular has scenery that is especially dark seedy. Yes, that's a word I just made up, meaning something that looks like it was designed by H.R. Geiger. Maybe that should be H.R. Geigery. Anyway, let's move on to...
Ellen!
Ellen is the most sympathetic character in the group, and has a hysterical fear of the color yellow.
Always yellow. Why does yellow make me sweat?
Of course, Am plays on her fears by making everything in her scenario yellow, which she must face in order to progress. One way she achieves this is by blocking it out with a yellow blindfold. I'm not really sure if a piece of yellow fabric is the best thing to protect against the color yellow. Mom, you want to demonstrate?
I still see yellow.
In all seriousness though, the story behind Ellen's fear of yellow is actually very dark and unsettling, and has been haunting her for all the 109 years she's been under Am's control. She's able to regain a sense of power, however, by using her skills as a top-level engineer.
Anubis Guardian version 1.0. Designate new master.
I'll designate you a new master, sucker. Me!
Honestly, I didn't feel much like a master playing this game, more like a lost soul struggling to find answers in an unforgiving world where nothing is straightforward. Another gripe I had here, which applies to other adventure games in general, or items that can only be picked up later with no clear indication that you can do so. For example, the CD in this statue, which is necessary to activate something called the Chaos Trebler.
Warning. Use of the Chaos Trebler will result in severe damage to equipment and personnel.
Oh well, I'm sure nothing that bad will happen.
Chaos Trebler activated. System shutdown in progress.
Oh my god, we're crashing!
Nimdok!
Nimdok is a scientist who's lost his memory but used to work for the Nazis and perform grotesque surgical experiments in the vain search for eternal life. I found Nimdok to be the most challenging character to achieve the highest spiritual level, which makes sense as his crimes against humanity are the most heinous. The mission given to us by Am is to find the Lost Tribe, which is unclear as even after playing the game I'm still not really sure who the Lost Tribe are. Could they be the prisoners in the camp? Or maybe the patients at the hospital, like this one with his eyes removed who talks in riddles.
The things I see now, a trinity of three beasts, one like us, one from the east, one from the steppes. They speak in numbers.
This is a reference to the Chinese and Russian counterparts of Am, who have formed their own identities in opposition to his rule, and could be the key to defeating him. So how does Nimdok escape the camp and find some kind of spiritual resolution? Our psych profile tells us that according to mythology, the Greeks won the Trojan War when soldiers passed through the gates of Troy by hiding inside a wooden horse. Obviously this is a clue to take the eyes from the patient at the hospital and hide them in a cardboard box. With the eyes we can then revive this golem who will do our bidding. I got a lot of satisfaction out of bringing the golem to life and deciding what to do with it, but I suspect a lot of players wouldn't get this far without a guide or the patience of a stone.
Ted!
Ted's story is my favorite as it's set in a spooky medieval castle complete with gargoyles and tapestries.
Why, that maiden looks just like Ellen. She seems so sad and so beautiful.
Ted is quite the ladies' man, but he's fallen in love with Ellen, the same Ellen who's afraid of yellow.
Why does everything have to be so damn yellow?
I really like this idea of characters crossing over into each other's stories, and wish this was developed further. The main spiritual test that Ted has to overcome is to be faithful to Ellen and not be tempted by other women, such as the kitchen maid.
I'll make a deal with you. I will tell you where you can find a mirror if you spend some quality time in my bed.
Quality time, huh? I've heard that before somewhere.
Drop in again soon. Adult education is a wonderful thing, as is adult quality time.
We can also offer to sleep with this old witch. The best course of action though is to find the right spell to put her to sleep.
Kala Ingma Wacko.
So much for Prince Charming. Ted, you are nothing more than a toad.
Kala Ingmar Wacko. Wait, it didn't work.
Well, that's because it's Kala Ingmar Thacko. Good. He's fallen asleep and I'm getting out of here.
The story culminates in a metaphorical tug-of-war between an angel and a devil over Ellen's soul.
Oh my god! I look like the damn Ted! What have you done to me?
Oh dear, I guess it wasn't such a great idea to sell Ellen's soul to a demon.
Enough of this turgid passion play. There's no more to accomplish here.
In the final chapter, all 5 characters play their part in taking on Am once and for all, in a landscape that looks like brain matter impaled with shards of glass. Here lies the Freudian subconscious parts of Am, the ego, the superego, and the id. I find it funny how each character addresses them in their own way.
Attention! Rise and shine!
Yo, wake up!
So, is there any hope for humanity? Well, you'll have to experience in-memes for yourself to find out. In the short story, Ted ends his companion's suffering by killing them himself, and only he is left to endure an eternity of torment.
I thought Am hated me before. I was wrong. It was not even a shadow of the hate he now slavered from every printed circuit. I have no mouth, and I must scream.
Overall, this isn't so much a game as an experience in ethics and exploration of humanity versus machine. What you get out of it is based on what you put in, and every time I play it, I discover something different. For example, I didn't know that Ted could be killed by wolves. Maybe if you play in-memes every year for the next 109 years, you might find a way to escape the tortures of Am. Or just go totally crazy and start walking backwards like you're doing the moonwalk. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, or in-memes for short, was developed by Cyberdreams and the Dreamers Guild and released in 1995. It's also the name of an album by death metal band Grot.
What on earth's this? Let's play it. Oh, that is awful. Let's put in one of my books on tape. Is that what you wanted?